because I'd been in the business from such a young age and lived in the community from 1 years old, that I had such a close connection to everybody around there. And when it goes from that to being accused of something, that the atmosphere around you just completely changes. And when you don't really want to go outside, you don't want to interact within the community because of obviously those accusations that are flying around. And back then, it's a little bit different now because of everything that we know. But back then, it was always that thing that the post office is a public institution that's been around for 300 years, and there will be no smoke without fire. So it's very difficult in order for, like, when you're hearing people talk behind your back and rumors and whispers and all that kind of stuff, that it's had a huge impact on myself, mentally and obviously indirectly on my family as well. They had no involvement in the business, but it still impacts them because they lived in the same community as the post office. So
you had threat of prosecution for 6 months, but ultimately they dropped those charges. But you're now having even though you won a High Court case in 2019 with Alan Bates, you're now facing a kind of new financial battle with them. Is that right?
It is, yeah. So, I mean, basically, we had to settle that because we ran out of money. The post office outspent us using more than £100 million of taxpayer cash to try and derail the case in the High Court. And because of that, all of the money that we used went on funders and lawyers. Out of the 57.75 million settlement, 46 million went on the lawyers and the funders. So we were left with, I think it was about 11 million shared between 555, which was just under £20,000 each. I've since compiled a claim into the government-ran group litigation order scheme, classed as a GLO scheme. And it's been professionally prepared, by forensic accountants and using your tax records and all of that the government themselves have paid for to prepare all of this. And they've offered less than 15% of the headline claim that we put forward. So we've got the government, speaking with forked tongue, is what I like to call it. That, on one hand, they're having this PR stunt that they are going to restore, they're going to do everything that they can and restore postmasters back to the position that we would have been in. And then on the other hand, they're right to me with an offer telling me we've got no intention of doing that. If you were to accept the offer that they put on the table at that amount, you would become another one of the government statistics that says we've settled, instead of being 64%, we've settled 65% of the claims, and we've paid them what they would call full and fair compensation. When I would be sitting there knowing I've accepted that offer, and it's not full and fair compensation, is it? Because it's less than 15% of the claim. And they have not restored me back to the position I would have been in.
And you've had a terrible time, kind of, throughout those years being pursued through the court.
Of course, I mean, you've got all of the criminal part, and then they've dropped it, and then they've gone on to the civil part, and that only got stayed, luckily, because of Alan Bates and the group litigation order being granted. And since then, here we are running up to almost 10 years later, and really, we're no further forward. There is progress being made, but we've had the announcement today of the convictions being overturned, which is great for them. That means that them people that have had that hanging over them for a long period of time. We'll get that overturned, and that means it automatically opens the door to compensation for them. But for the original group that made all of this possible, the original 555 that got the funding, took post office to court, took the risk to do all of that, really was the first part of exposing all of this story. That indirectly, with the judgments, led to the convictions being overturned in April 2021, and here we are being punished for that because they're not putting us back in the position.
So do you feel in some ways it might have been easier had you got a conviction in some ways because it would have settled the matter?
Well, I mean, now we'll be looking, if you had the conviction then, you'll be sitting here now and either in the original group that's already been overturned or with this announcement today, that conviction will be overturned and you will be automatically entitled to a minimum of £600,000 because it's you can take that up front or you can compile a more complex claim and go down the longer route. So, in fact, that you're kind of better off as we stand if you were convicted.
Did you watch the drama? What did you think of it?
I did. I watched it. Look, it was a fantastic drama, and I think it was how ITV managed to get the cast that they did. I think that was a major play in how powerful it's come across because I think there was a number of people that wanted to watch it anyway, and they would have. But I think there was a lot of people as well that maybe knew about the post office scandal, or maybe even people who didn't know about the post office scandal. They were saying, "Oh, there's Toby Jones, and there's Will Miller, and there's Monica Dolan, and all them kind of things." So, and I think a lot of people would have tuned in, or they did. Some people did tell me that they tuned in only because them people were in it. And obviously, when they went on to watch it, they couldn't believe what they watched. A lot of them same people who had no intention of watching it initially said they couldn't believe what they just witnessed. That they cannot believe that is an actual true story about what went on. And I think it's resonated so much with the public, mainly because they've seen the stress and the trauma, and I think the callousness that the post office inflicted on people. And we're not just talking on a small scale; it was on an industrial scale.
What are you hoping now that the post office will resolve everyone's case, including yours and the other outstanding posts?
I would like to think that the government will meet the commitment that they originally made, which is that their word is to put you back into the position that you would have been in. And like I said, we have all of the records and the documentation prepared by financial experts, prepared by the tax records, about what you would have earned had you continued in the post office, compared to what you've managed to earn since, and to pay them amounts in full. I mean, there should be they are the kind of heads of loss, let's say, within the claim that there should be no dispute over.